Hey, good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock. We start the financial workshop meeting. The treasurer was supposed to be here and bring us our kind of first draft of the preliminary budget, and nobody on council has it at this point in time. So going off of this year's current costs and the forecasting for some of them, you know, it certainly seems like we'll have a shortfall, if not a significant shortfall, moving us into next year for just with, you know, upping the services, contractual fees that are going up, and things of that order of magnitude. So, and hopefully the treasurer will get here in a little bit and provide us one of the budgets. But with that, this could be a historically quick meeting.
I mean, according to this on the balance sheet, I mean, I know some of it is funds that we got from the COVID relief, but we'll be able to use that, it appears, for the repairs on Edgemont Avenue. But we're like over 200,000 ahead of where we were last year. I'm just looking at the balance sheet that we got as of the end of September.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a pretty significant burn. I'm always 100% an optimist. I'm not pessimistic in any way, shape, or form. I'm just looking at overall trends, overall finances, overall. Hello. Any chance you brought some budgets for us?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Hello. Hi, Mr. Councilman.
Thank you.
Oh, wonderful, thank you. Am I passing them down here?
Yes, please.
Alrighty then.
I put them all in order. No, yours were in order. Mine were just out of order. Yeah, we're gonna need one more. You keep forgetting me. I used to do them. So just one more copy.
And being that we haven't had the first reading or anything like that, these budgets will remain confidential, so nobody can quote something as far as it could very well change by the next meeting or some of those. I do know there's a reflection of the crossing guards are brought up to essentially what would be, I don't know, industry standard, human living wages. I don't know what you want to call it, but they moved something, but that didn't change our budget even a percent, because it's also shared with the school district. Employees are getting a marginal, actually below CPI, adjusted moderate raise or cost of living.
Donna, can you explain the headings across the top here?
For the first page.
Yeah, well, they're on all the pages.
So the first is, and it shouldn't say draft because it's year-to-date actuals.
So that's year-to-date actual, so, okay.
Yep. The next column is the 22 budget.
So what's been approved for spending for this year?
for 22,
Okay.
correct. Then the variance, and then that's why the next three columns are assumptions. So what we do is we back out the 22 budget salaries, and then we add in 23. And then the third column are other assumptions that are not salary related. And then that comes up with the 23 budget.
Sorry, guys, this is gonna be really boring for you.
So we budgeted, we have in the budget 3 full-time police officers. Now, I understand that Officer Sackleback, am I pronouncing that correctly? Is he going to be out on leave for a little bit? Yeah, so, but there are 3 full-time officers, and the 6th page of this has salaries for all the police officers. And then I made an adjustment to back out some part-time police salaries. Because in conversations with Chief Mary, if we have these full-time police officers, we should not need all the part-time police officers.
Under public safety on page 4, when the year-to-date right now for public safety is at 60, nearly 60,000, why are we budgeting only 55,000 for the entire year of next year?
Well, because the building, so what we did is if you look at it, it's 50% of safety and UNO and others. So it would change with the increase in revenue. So if you look at the revenue for this year and you look at building permits and things like that, they were a lot higher. So
Why are we
really it should be
assuming?
50%.
Why are we assuming they're going down? Because, for example, our income from excluding crossing guards, because I'm not sure why that's in their police services, but it's like $70,000 year to date, but we have for all of next year 70,000. So I'm just wondering why we're anticipating
I'm sorry,
it.
where are you saying that?
This is on page 1 of 5. Near the bottom, department earnings to public safety. The number at the bottom is 85, but 11 of it is going to crossing guards and almost 3,000 to special police services. So the rest is building permits, electrical permits, and so on. And so I guess I'm trying to figure out why, when we have 70,000 year-to-date for September, we're only expecting to get 70,000 for all of '23.
Donna, do you take a 3-year estimate and go from there to get these figures?
We usually do.
Okay.
Look at a 3-year weighted average.
And that's what I'm thinking is here.
So just trying to get on my server. Because it should be 50%. So let me just put that. I understand what you're saying. But next year, when I look at the economic factors that are supposed to happen next year, we're predicting a recession
Right.
in the second half of next year. I'm not thinking many people are going to be spending money for, I'd rather be conservative than to be overzealous with the revenue. We are going to need to increase taxes if we hire the 2 additional police officers, but even if you don't, you're paying Brookhaven a lot of money each month, so you still have to cover that cost as well. So there are expenses that have to be paid. The Solid Waste Authority is increasing 6%. They went from, I think, 78 to 83, which is like a 6% increase. So we know that's going to happen. We will have some overflow from next year that I can bring into this year's budget. So in previous years, if there was cash on hand, we would bring that cash on hand into the budget. So we can do that as well. But you can't keep spending your fund balance because you need to have that reserve there. So you shouldn't be using all of your cash each year to fund the next year's budget. You have to build up your fund balance.
I understand, but what was our fund balance when we started the year?
Hold on a second. For the budget, you brought in 100,000, but your fund balance is probably a lot higher than that. But let me get you the exact number.
Can I ask a question about the attorney fees, please?
Yes.
Hopefully, we're going to be able to appoint special counsel for the Delcor contract. And I noticed that the legal counsel fees, you're only budgeting non-retained of $25,750. That sounds like it's very low.
I agree. I had asked previously what we think we should budget for that. So I do agree, it should be increased.
Should we add another 30 to that if we're looking at not only our current solicitor's invoices, but also a special counsel for the Delcor contract?
What, you agreed with 30?
To add 30, am I correct?
Yeah.
Which page is the lawyer's?
Look at page 2, all the way at the bottom.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it seems like the Delcor attorney would be special legal services.
That's correct.
That's page 3. There's only 3,000 allocated there, but.
Plus civil service, would that fall under the special legal?
Yes,
or,
and we'd also have a special counsel for civil service, but I think both issues will fall into the next year's budget. I don't know if Mrs. Guy or Vice President Bull has contacted anybody yet, so I don't know.
You said increase it to 30,000, not by 30,000? Another
By-
30,000?
530.
Only because we're going to have 2 special counsels next year. Looking at Mr. Amuso's bills already, to me, going up to $65,750 is, I would think, reasonable.
And we don't know what the Delcor judgment's going to be or when it comes down.
I keep checking. So,
Yeah.
you know, our contract with Delcor ends November 17th. So that's why I've been trying to keep it moving with special counsel. And Michael has civil service in the police department coming up, so that's another special counsel.
So we're saying 404, 314 should be moved up to basically 22,000.
What do you anticipate the Delcora attorney doing? I mean, we're going to negotiate a new deal with Delcora?
Because, as I've explained before, we have a special situation with only numerous other boroughs having the same situation of us having a unusual contract with them concerning the pipes. And I don't have the Delcora contract with me tonight to read the details, but they should be able to protect our rights once litigation is over and the courts find in favor of Aqua. And then that special counsel should be able to say to them, Parkside Borough has a specific contract. We need to talk about Parkside Borough's rights under this specific contract. And in 1985, we joined with Upland Borough in their contract for the waste flow there. And Upland Borough already has special counsel and has been negotiating with them, I understand. The question here is, what are the courts going to do with the takeover of Aqua? And they're leaning towards it, the last appeals, so.
When you say we were in the contract with Upland, we negotiated at the same time, or if we're in the same we're not in the same contract?
No, we had a contract, and again, I don't have my folder, but our contract was November 17th of 1975. Upland joined our contract, and we joined theirs in 1985 with an offshoot saying that the pipes coming from Upland, coming from Parkside, will continue into Upland with the flow of waste. I don't know how they've negotiated.
But when you say
their special we have an attachment to our current contract involving the Borough of Upland. And I believe Ms. Timika sent everybody a copy of that.
I tried to follow that.
Did you find the fund balance?
I cannot get on, but it's on your balance sheet, and your balance sheet each month, so I don't know if I have a printed copy of it.
Oh, so that number right there, okay, that's fine, I've got the balance
So
sheet.
net assets is your fund balance.
I think there is some money that's been held in escrow, that's why I just want to shout out a number. There's probably $50,000 in escrow.
I understand, but we have over $1 million, and I understand that we still have to get through the rest of the year, but
Ryan gets mandated from
we're not, how much are we supposed to keep? How much money are we supposed to have in the
You're only gonna
bank?
have
10%.
At the end of the year, you'll have enough money to get you through February, and you might have a couple hundred in the bank. But this is what I'm telling you, you're limited. And I don't know your borough code to know what the limitations are on how much you can increase taxes. So you will need to increase them if you're going to hire additional police officers, because you'll come to a point where you won't be able to increase taxes that much to cover your deficit.
I understand.
Okay.
Tell me, our mortgage, when is that paid off?
Can I just interject? The cash on hand for the budget last year was $110,000.
Right. That's what was brought over to make the balance, the budget
That's
balance.
correct.
If there was more cash available, but that's what was brought over to make the budget balance last year.
And we have $1 million sitting in the general fund? Thank you.
So where is that money?
now you have a profit of 400,000 year to date. You have 600 and some $1,000 in the bank right now. Hold on, I do have that. 650,000. By the end of the month, the payroll needs to get recorded. We expect additional revenue of like 83,000. There's $200,000, $220,000 sitting in the TV bank, which is from the ARPA funds. So we spent that money down. We're trying to build it back up to equal the balance that from the ARPA funds, because I understand that's being allocated for a special project,
352.
right?
352, yeah, the road, the main
It's only
road.
352.
No, that's
Edgemont Avenue.
Edgemont Avenue.
Okay.
Edgemont Avenue is 352.
I mean, basically until revenue was starting to come in, we were looking somewhere around 700,000 to get from here to revenue starting to come in. And that doesn't include the police officers and things like that.
I understand.
Well, are we looking at, to increase the police force by, to have a total of 3 full-timers or 4? 4? And that's been budgeted for 4?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so I'm also curious why the total income, and maybe it's something specific that I'm missing here, but why the total income is budgeted as 1.6 million for the entire year of 2023 when it's been 1.7 plus through September.
So in that number, it's budgeted, it was budgeted for 1.8 last year. In that number is $100,000 for the TAN, which I did not budget.
Okay,
In that number, was also other monies. I was trying to figure that out. The 110,000 for the cash on hand was included as part of the revenue, so there's your 200,000.
okay, that's 200,000. All
I
right,
didn't include 200,000.
all right, thank you.
I didn't include that. I didn't include TAN, and I didn't include the cash on hand.
Okay.
Are we doing a trans this year?
I was not going to do a
Not?
training.
Okay.
I just feel like the interest rates will be higher,
You bet.
and I don't really foresee, and I did a quick cash projection that we would need the trans.
Excellent, that'll save us an interest.
And yeah, it's not that much, if it's 5%.
All right,
But
and,
it's
all right,
still saving money.
so, never mind me, I'll move along here.
You got any feedback from like the Beneserves and the insurance companies for like what Blue Cross is? Because that is a significant budget.
I have not heard anything on that. You guys are not in the trust with the IU? No.
Did you find when when we're done with the mortgage for this building?
I believe it's another 4 years.
4 years, so 4 years,
I gotta check that. I'm trying to get on my server and I don't know why. I don't know if it's a hotspot. Usually I'm pretty able to get on here.
so what do we pay for the mortgage each year?
We got 4,000 a month, I believe.
4,000 a month? All right,
Doug, there was an article yesterday concerning the economy and a possible recession, and the health insurance companies are projecting 3% increase for health benefits, 2 point something to 3%. So
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad, but we haven't heard anything from our,
well, we provide benefits for what, the full-time police officers, correct?
Have we ever looked into, like, joining with other, because if we only have, next year we may have 4, but if we only have 4 employees, can we pool together with other places for insurance?
I thought that was gonna be part of the Affordable Care Act years ago, but it's just the way FOP contracts work and things like
it's
that.
the contract.
Really takes away from that. You know, ideally, I thought it would be neat if the FOP provided it all and we wrote them and checked. They have lots of police.
Yeah, they've got some clout.
As far as that goes. The rates themselves, you don't see like those real big savings that a lot of people talk about. I don't know if they just, I don't know why it works that way, but, you know, even little businesses, they kind of have to be competitive. And I don't know why you can't get an individual plan through these companies, but it seems like that economy of scale is not negligible.
Hey, Donna, for the crossing guards, you do know Pendelco does pay half the fee? Okay.
Yeah, that's on
So they
the.
get, okay, I'm just starting to get it.
Yeah, it's in the public safety.
362.
I brought with me the proposal that I had gotten from Commonwealth Code Enforcement. I'm going to hand that out to you guys. I'll also provide it online, so you can look and see what the numbers are that they give us.
I mean, that at least, so that I think.
Here, Scott, give me yours.
I have one.
Here, if you pass these two down.
Am I correct that the date on this is December of 2021?
It is in fact, yeah, that's when this gentleman gave us the proposal. But I just wanted to show it to you because I'm willing to bet that their rates have not changed much more. But for example, unit inspection fees, right now, we charge our residents $150 for those, and we pay $75 for those.
Hold on a second. Oh.
That's on, I'm on the 4th page here at the bottom, but you can see their rates. They charge by the hour, not by the job. So if it takes them half an hour, it's $40. It's not, you know.
Well, I personally was not prepared to review something like this. I thought it was just a budget meeting.
Well, take your time looking at it,
I will take it home and review it. Thank you
please
for
do.
doing that.
Please do, but I do foresee that we could cut our expenses in inspections, code enforcement.
What is that, I mean, I think we kind of got like some paper shifted here, so what all should each of us have?
I'm sorry, I can make more copies if you didn't get
No,
them.
I think we've got it kind of shifted around over here, so that's why I'm just trying to see what we should have.
First 2 pages is a letter, second is proposal for UCC and code-related services, and that is 1, 2, 3 pages of a letter, followed by building code official.
Can I take a look at, like, you have a complete packet there?
I do.
Just to
And again, these prices are from November of 2021?
Yes,
Okay, so you're doing it.
I'd be happy to contact him again, in fact, I will.
Not for Parkside, this is for.
Yes,
Another.
but-
Following.
That's what I'm confused about. If we're using.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at
Is
it.
that
This
us?
is an example of what they
No, I
send.
understand that, but what are these incomes?
This is what they send to Alden every month, and
Okay.
this is part of what they send to their municipality.
So this is Alden's expenses and
And
revenue?
income for that.
You have this page.
that page.
Donna, can I go back to the budget, please?
Okay, so that's,
We're looking at a grant that has a 20%
Do you want me to make a couple more
match.
copies?
no, we're, like I said, the page is just kind of got. I'm
I
just
believe
making
the
sure
match was
what happens. So
$23,000.
proposal for UCC should be numbered.
Could you tell me if that match is in the budget? I saw only $10,000.
Yeah, no, I don't have
So then
Okay.
the next set of pages should be this.
If you look under capital expenses,
Same thing.
we're only
No,
budgeted
that's something
10, and our
different.
match, I
That's what I'm
believe, is
saying. See how it's over
23.
So then it should be, yeah, you got front and back, and then a signature page at the end. So that's that. So, okay, so there's that.
Michael, do we know yet what we're looking at as far as the cost for bringing on? Because we were talking about that after 3 years, it'll go up, right? Wasn't there,
3 years for what?
Yeah, you didn't finish your sentence.
so the pensions,
Oh, well, I think you had sent an email today asking about that.
Yeah, and I do have money in here, I don't think we need it, because it's not gonna go up next year that dramatically, because it'll be based off of this year's census. So I was gonna, I had that in there originally, because, she sent me the expenses, but I don't think this is gonna be, it's gonna be that high in 2023. So I'm gonna can get some final numbers, so that'll help us on an income standpoint. I also am not thinking that the health insurance should be as high as it's budgeted, but it depends on, the officers and the rate that they're charged, so. I did increase
thank you.
the expenses for the chief based on with hiring 2 additional officers.
that's in the budget? 2 additional officers? Thank you.
The MMO might, you're right, it may not hit all at once, but it might be, we can start having a little bit
Right, you have
extra.
to-
Like, we know we have to anticipate it, because it's
Yeah.
definitely.
The other question I had is originally, we had, is there an animal warden?
We use,
I have taken it.
we use Brandywine.
It's a contracted service, I believe.
It is.
Okay.
It's somewhat expensive.
All right, that's what it was. So it's, okay.
Where's the bottom line? Where does it say what?
It says negative $500,000, I think, here.
400.
Yeah.
Doesn't
On
have
the-
any increases or
On the,
changes.
sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
this number, 409,
Right.
is how much we're short.
So that's without the comments that we've all just made.
Yeah. On the non-police salary page, that last page,
Yeah.
looking at what we had for the crossing guards for next year, I'm just looking at towards the bottom. For Rob and the snow removal, we have this year's, but nothing for next year's. Listed as a hourly salary. Looks like there's a blocked amount. I think the hourly salary should be at least what the crossing guards are.
Yeah, I agree. So we increased Ryan to 1601
From,
from 1554.
Right here.
Like on the last page.
It's under here.
I didn't think he was
That's
that
under
high.
the- So I put in a number, I was trying to anticipate what you would spend instead of an hourly rate.
Okay.
I can put in an hourly rate, but I mean, my understanding is that the other part-time person is only at 1260, does that sound correct?
I mean, I don't, certainly don't want to interject, but it was,
Who's the other part-time person?
you see
Rob.
people posting for like Springfield and for Radnor for temporary leaf cleanup, and they'll post like $14, and all they get is laughing faces. So, I mean, I hate to say it, like, if Amazon's gonna cover you for 22, and, you know.
I don't have any problem with raising that up for leaf collection. I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah.
So last year on the Public Works, I worked under 60 hours for the entire year. That was leaf collection and 3 major snowstorms. I can't predict the snowstorms, but I don't have a lot of hours there.
Right, so I only increased that, like, from 27 last year to 32 this year, and I mean, that's an accident.
And as of right now for this year, I don't think I'll be doing leaf collection because of my job won't allow me to.
Okay.
So, and obviously school will be closed when there's a storm, so.
So Ryan will be doing that?
Ryan will be solo, I guess. So, for the leaves.
I mean, we should definitely have somebody. That's just a OSHA violation away from the problem.
What kind of qualifications would that person have to have?
Driver's license.
To help Ryan, or could Ryan drive?
It's kinda like-
You need a driver?
I mean, you need somebody that, they should be able to have a driver's license and be able to pass a drug test and a few things like that. Those are minimum qualifications for anything that's gonna operate heavy equipment, I'm sorry. That leaf blower is a dangerous piece of equipment.
All right, well, we'll talk about that.
Ryan prefers no help during leaf collection. He prefers to do it himself, so.
Okay, that's
And
fair.
then snow, obviously, he gets mandated at work for Amtrak, and then if he gets mandated, then we don't have anybody to plow our streets.
nobody.
So that's when I stepped in. We hired at one time, I know one person off the top of my head during a snowstorm. We hired that person, they never showed up during the snowstorm. They got me out of bed to finish the snow. So ever since then, I just did it. So I did it before council when I was 19 or 20 years old. I did it back in the 80s, late 80s. I did it all the way through until Ryan came on. I was the one before Ryan was on, before we hired Ryan. So that's how long I've been doing snow removal in the borough.
Well, I don't mind bringing that up to $16, because that seems reasonable, or whatever it was that we were bringing Ryan up to, at least $16.01.
Whatever. It's not a lot of hours.
Put Rob at 1601, is it what you're saying?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
You know, we're not voting on anything right now, we're just talking.
Yes.
So that's my question, like, normally, the preliminary budget would be approved in next month.
First reading.
And has to be advertised for 30 days.
Right, that's the plan. That's the plan. We have another budget meeting when, Doug?
We don't.
This is it? This is our last budget?
No, we had 3 budget meetings planned.
Yeah, I thought there were 3. The other one was the workshop, I guess, the first one.
And then
Okay.
if
We'll be able to
you're
get
going
this through,
to
I mean,
increase
through
your trash
communicating.
fees, that would have to be in an ordinance approved in November.
First reading.
Okay.
Donna, are you able to incorporate these changes? And I know already we're looking at about 50,000 plus more on that negative, and get us,
Yeah, I'm gonna take out the 80 on the pension, I'm gonna reduce that, because I'm gonna see if I can get numbers from the actuary. I'm gonna call him, see what I can get. Well, we know what our MMO really should be for next year already anyway, so we know that number.
is that number the 198?
I think so.
Okay,
No, it's not the one I
No,
need.
it's like the 108.
okay.
The 118.
Do you know what the MMO is for next year?
I should have that,
Okay.
so I will update it to the actual number.
I mean, we have to pass a resolution for that by the end of the year for next
Right,
year's
and I should have
MMO.
gotten something from Doug, and I don't remember seeing it, so
Okay.
confirm that.
Well, that's my concern, getting the MMO resolution passed before the end of this year.
Yeah.
So the 2 new officers, the proposed new officers, would be 55,000 each?
They started out at a graduated rate, like for 3 months well, I have it in here, right? The first 4 months were at a certain amount, then the next 6 months they're at another amount, then the next 2 months they're at another amount. So that was the average.
All right, so,
So hang on, I'd like to stay with
go ahead,
this.
go ahead.
Now looking at those, the full-time payroll, okay, it says assume a higher date of 11/1.
Yeah, but I changed that, the amount in there is for, it's for 1/1 really.
You put a
So-
note, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So we're looking at 55,000 per officer, $110,000, and that's salary. Does that include FICA and,
That's calculated in the budget. So if you look in the budget under police, the FICA and everything is calculated based off of the salaries.
Okay, it's under the police protection on page
So you
3.
go down, you'll see Medicare and FICA calculated.
Unemployment, training.
All right, you have a number in here with a red note next to it. Don't anticipate this hitting in 2023, and that's
That's
200.
MMO.
All right,
I'm gonna-
That's your MMO.
all right.
so what's the additional investment for the 2 officers? Like the bottom line total number of
You
salary?
also have to do the 3 because this is, we only had 1,
Right.
so it's really 3.
So you have Doug and the other 2 officers, the other 2 officers, I'm sorry. So you're looking at, 175 plus their FICA, so times that by 7.65. So say 200 for salary, then you have to add on benefits, and you have to add on the pension MMO. I can send you the calculation that we had. Then you have to add on, health insurance, training, etc. But on the other side, you're paying another borough a lot of money to cover your police.
Okay.
Thank you. God bless you.
Is the 81,000 for part-time? Because it seems to me, based on what we've already
Yeah.
spent on part-time, that may be high, especially because if we're having 4 full-time officers, there may not really be
Yeah, I
too
can
many.
reduce that if you want.
Well-
I'm
I'm just saying, I don't know if it needs to be that. I mean, I don't know what the chief thinks, but I would expect that number to go down a lot.
Yeah, because we were relying almost primarily on part-timers.
And I mean, even this year, we're at 84.
But that's because we don't have people
We don't
fill
have
it.
people.
Right,
But-
because
It's not
the
gonna be-
balance
it's
is
not- It's going to
Brookhaven.
be lower than it was this year.
Yeah.
So we're already at, we're at 84 right now, so.
I can reduce that more. I was kind of hesitant to do that, but, so if you reduce that to 45, if you hire 2 more, so I can reduce that.
Okay,
I think that's low.
make it 50 then. Call it 50.
Yeah, only because if you have overtime, say, as we all know,
Summer vacations.
summer vacations, holidays, where we're getting extra police on the street, snow, and you've got extra officers because of issues. What happens, like now, one of our full-timers is under the weather. I just think cutting that in half is that's too low.
But we're replacing all of our part-timers,
Not all of them. You're still going to have part-time in there.
a couple of them, but, I mean, we're going from, how many part-timers do we have? Every full-timer we bring on is going to work 40 hours, so that'll reduce the part-timers.
I mean, I would just trust whatever the chief said. I think he knows.
I think he would be the best
The
to
chief,
judge.
the
said-
chief told me that it's gonna reduce the part-time officers by like $44,000.
Right.
He told me to reduce it to 45.
Yeah, so, yeah.
All right, do what the chief said then. He's put the most thought into it.
I do too.
Is the fire company describing to us what they're asking for, or is it just the same allocation, like?
I'm going to suggest that we not talk about that right now, because there's a lot of things up in the air, so, we'll
Leave the line item as is.
leave it where it is right now. We'll talk. Right now, there's a lot of in the air going on, so.
Well, no matter what's in the air, this is a budget item that I think we should at least give them the amount we've been giving them, if not more, because the price of gasoline and everything else is going up. So I'm sure they could use several thousand more.
Rob, did you want to talk about this now?
I'm sorry?
The firehouse.
I personally would like to see it increased, at least cost of living.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of you guys probably don't know, but last Tuesday I was reinstated as the president, so I don't want to talk about firehouse money. So
I understand.
I can assure you that they will be going in the right direction. That's all I will say.
But there are concerns, is that
I will
correct?
assure you that. I will put my name on the line.
And those concerns are being addressed.
Everything's being addressed. I think in the end, I think everybody sitting at this table will be quite happy what the game plan is.
Great,
That's all I
thank
can
you.
say. If anybody wants to talk to me privately, I will be glad to talk to you. That's it.
So if you're just off the suggestion of a cost of living increase, what would we be looking percentage-wise?
Well, inflation this year is.
Percent?
If you want to come back next month and decide that and leave it alone like everybody suggested,
I'm just saying, while we're looking at figures, if we're
Just
going to
me.
discuss,
I'm okay with that too, so.
All right, let's wait till,
8.7% is what Social
Exactly.
Security is getting.
And
This
who
is
did-
part of the cost of living adjustment.
all right, let's hold off on the budget, on the firehouse.
And I think that's really something that we should look at as far as the real estate taxes as well.
What do you mean?
Increasing the real estate taxes
Okay, I heard you say that.
and increase the trash fees 6% to cover the increase in the solid waste. And then increase the real estate taxes for the cost of living.
Donna, do you know what the 6% for trash fee would equate to? Or just an estimate?
What is it? Is it 294?
284? 285?
We got 300.
Bring it even, 300?
302.10. We can make it an even free.
So that's
you're-
per household, is what you're saying?
Mhm.
302 per household.
Would you round it to just 300?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
On page 4, line 471, what is the general term note? It's 35,000 in the budget?
That's the note, the mortgage note.
The mortgage, okay, thank you. And under 472-100,
That's the principal. I mean, the interest.
okay, so
The principal
why,
and interest.
all right, we just haven't paid that much this year? I'm just looking at the year-to-date for September, it's only at $6,000.
Yeah, and it could just be the allocation of the principal and interest. So
Okay,
there's still
got it.
3 months payments to be made.
Got it,
So you're at 35, 36, with another 3 months, you'll be at the 48. So in total, the numbers are correct, it just might be the allocation of the principal and interest.
yep, I see that. Got it, thank you.
And when are we getting the assessments?
I tried to, Christina's going to email somebody at the county to see if I can get them early, because all the budgets have to kind of be approved
Yeah.
the next week or so, and we don't know the assessed values. So I'd have to go off the last year's, and then approve the final budget in December, but I don't want to put in a real estate tax increase. That seems unrealistic. So if your assessment values go down, and households are going to be paying more.
Mhm.
And I don't want to do that without knowing what that assessed value is. So I asked her to reach out to the county to see if we could get all the assessed values for the boroughs that we work in townships. I don't know if you had many appeals this year, do you know?
We had one major appeal, and I don't know what that, our solicitor being here, how that went.
Okay.
And that was on the, what many of us call the old church. So we had that appeal.
It's a shame we don't have more businesses because
You bet.
the school district is
Yeah.
appealing all these businesses
Yes.
in Aston and Brookhaven, and they're going way up. Like the one was
Mm-hmm.
1 point something million, it went up to 8 million in Brookhaven. So we're getting the short end of the stick as usual.
I mean, businesses can move out though. They start getting assessed like that. I mean, there are a lot of reasons Cabela's in one place, they get their 10-year tax abatement, they move in and they leave, but it's,
We're also collecting sales taxes and every other tax, so.
I would also like to look at,
community.
I mean, I know it can't take effect for next year, but the salaries for mayor and council, I think they're,
No.
No, that's state set.
that's
no.
it.
we
No,
set
not
the
raise
maximum.
them.
We are at the maximum.
Right, I'm saying we should lower them.
I agree.
Lower them?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I- I think-
Absolutely. I do this
I
for
think-
free.
I would. I mean, looking at.
There
the-
you go, they don't get checks next year.
You know,
Well, Donna, no, I'm not gonna do it, but, I mean, just, I think we'd send a good message to the community, or at least lower it. I mean,
we've raised their taxes every single year, so,
Just did it once last year.
no, we did it every single year.
That's not true.
Did you raise them last year? I didn't see that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
we have-
yeah, raised them last year, raised them the year before.
I have the figures right
Taxes or
here.
salaries?
Taxes.
Taxes.
We did not, we raised them in '22 by half a mil. '21, the assessment changed, so it was 7.4. 2018, 2019, 2020, it was at 11.5 mils. So those years it did not change. If you want me to go further back, I can actually do that.
Probably put the others.
So, just going back, because we're looking at changing numbers, I want to revisit the firehouse. I mean, you talked about 8%.
It was 15,000.
What's that?
14,700 bucks. So you go from 145.
It's 130, 10% would be 13,000.
I mean, personally, just looking at the bottom line order of what our shortfall is, I personally want to make sure that we get the police money that we need before we start looking at other things to add to. Because that to me is a high number as it is. And I personally don't feel like we should add more to that. So, I mean, I would just want to see, with the assessments when they come in, I mean, looking at how much we're going to need to raise taxes, I have a hard time adding to that firehouse number for this year, for the next year. I mean, just candidly, because our taxes are going to go up. And I want to make sure that we have police protection.
The Board of Trustees actually asked me if they could get 150 this year, and I kind of said, that's not going to happen. But, so anything that we decide to give them is going to help them. Anything we give them is cheaper than bringing in another fire company like you already see bringing in another.
Oh, I know that, I understand that.
So
I'm not saying,
Again,
I would like to at least increase it by 5.
it's up to you guys what you want to do. I'm not sitting here going to,
That would be about a 4%.
whatever they get, they get.
Okay, again.
so I think we should just look at the final numbers that we have, and if we have room for it to not add, significantly raise taxes further, then I would be interested in looking into that. But I don't want to make any judgment about either for or against until we get that.
Our next meeting is the
first reading.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying I'd like to just
I
do
agree.
it forward. It would be better, it would be about
Yeah, we can put it in and look at it, that's fine.
1% increase roughly, and that would take
I'm
up
happy
an
saying you're
additional
fine.
$5,000.
Right.
I personally do.
And we've already added to the attorney fees because
You're gonna need two more.
you need 2 more, plus our solicitor's bill for September, and I've already asked, is not in yet. So if you look at our legal fees, that's going up by approximately $7,000, so that figure is not accurate. So we need 2 attorneys, and also Mr. Amuso's fees have got to go up. And we already signed off on a match grant. We need $23,000 next year for our match if we get that grant.
We haven't been approved yet.
I'm
so
sorry?
We haven't been approved yet, so
No,
we
but
don't.
No, but
plan
it's not.
Yes, I
in
do
there.
understand we have to
guaranteed
plan
that
for it.
I believe you signed the letter saying
Yes.
we guaranteed we have $23,000 in the bank for that match.
We do, and sure,
So-
put it in the budget then.
That's what I just asked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
I'm adding in subtracting some things, so here's a question though, I'm gonna increase that 30, but I'm taking things away, but I just had a question I wanted to ask. Okay, so I have the 13 for the matching grant. Oh, the project on Edgemont, is that all coming out of the general fund, or is any of that? It's all-
That's the ARPA, that's the ARPA.
That's what you're using the ARPA on?
Is the ARPA definitely gonna cover all of that?
Well,
We're still waiting on
We're waiting on bids.
We're still waiting on bids.
But if I recall, Mr. Roto gave us a value of about, I'm gonna overestimate, I thought he said about 100,000.
yes, that's correct, because we lucked out with PennDOT supplying some extra piping from a job that they're
So I
going
should budget that for happening for next year.
to donate.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming out of ARPA.
All right.
And we don't know how much the permits and the flaggers and everything else is going to cost.
All right.
And engineering.
I don't think it's a real number until we have a bid on it. It's-
Well, I'm just going.
It was,
We're just going with what he suggested.
It was $250,000.
it was 225 when Lisa was sitting in.
It was 150,000, and that included the pipes. As I just said, the pipes are being
Yeah,
donated by
excellent.
PennDOT to bring down the cost.
You were saying?
I'm sorry.
So we have the money set aside, so when I do the budget, it'll kind of be like a net.
A wash?
It'll be a net zero.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe some of the professional staff, you guys are planning an increase as well, right?
She put it in here.
Yeah, it's in there. I just increased it a little bit.
I think we covered a lot of ground.
We did.
Yes, sir.
Definitely appreciate.
What did we
it.
settle on the fire company? Did we settle on a specific?
We're leaving it where it is right now.
I thought we were gonna
No,
add.
I'd like to add 5.
Yeah.
5%?
Well, no, 5,000.
5,000.
Flat dollar amount.
To bring it up to 135?
35.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Got some quiet.
Yeah, what's contracted services, I'm sorry, one more question. What's line 430, 450, contracted services of 19.5?
Yeah, I left that in.
We didn't use it at all this year,
Right.
so I'm thinking that,
I don't have any capital expenses in the highway, and maybe I should reduce, I can reduce it and just put it under capital expenditures for highway, or move it to the building.
are we expecting to have capital expenditures, or why can't we just reduce that by 20,000?
If you need to hire somebody to help with, weed collection or snow removal, if Rob isn't available, then you're not gonna have anything in the budget.
But that'll come out of Rob's pay to go toward the person that we hire if Rob's not doing it, right?
Right, but it's not gonna be the same, contracted rate is gonna be much higher than
His rate.
employees' rate.
Perhaps we hired somebody for,
Is this also including, and maybe I'm on the wrong category, tree removal in the woodlot, any type of...
This is under
That's
Highway
under
General
park.
Services.
Just checking, make sure we have that,
All right,
please.
I'm sending-
We had 19.5 for this year. We haven't spent $1 of it, so I don't see.
Can we also change the line, the names for, under parks and playgrounds?
Yeah, tell me what you want.
Well, I don't know about the rest of them, but 450.450 should be the recreation committee
Okay.
for events.
Rec committee. I'll put rec committee dash events.
Yeah.
And I noticed this has not been recoded for the expenditures to come off of the recreation budget for the year, because we have had expenditures, so it has not been recoded.
No, unless we hit in October. Were they in September?
Well, from year start,
Okay.
Yeah, we did have money in, I don't know when it hit, but it was from September.
right,
For
from
Community
September
Day was
back has not
September.
hit, so there was several
Revenue?
thousand.
Revenue. I think it is somewhere in here, but it's not. It should
We
be-
discussed it at the last
Yeah.
meeting, I
Yes.
remember it was brought
What,
up.
what did she say was?
The
under-
contributions to Recreation Committee has showed, she was going to, Christine was going to reclass that 2,500. But what I'm saying is, I don't see the expenditures from Community Day hitting under,
Well, that's because it wasn't before this date yet.
so you didn't submit them until
No, I
October?
submitted them, but the checks weren't cut until after.
Okay, so it'll show up on the
On the October.
next budget.
Yeah.
I'll check.
I know the checks were signed.
Okay, I'll update this and have it to you by the weekend. When's your first meeting for workshop?
I'm just gonna do it at we do the first reading and then
October's
Basically-
council meeting.
November.
No, November.
I'm sorry, November's
Yeah.
council meeting.
October's gone like,
Kind of like off, it seems like the assessment's a little bit later coming in, it seems like a lot of stuff's.
Will be at the
much
council
later
meeting or
coming.
the workshop? Do you have a workshop?
We do not, I wish we did,
Ah,
but we
okay.
don't.
All right. All right. I think I'm going to go away for that. Now, I mean, do you have the ability for me to do a budget presentation, like a PowerPoint, like if I had
yes.
That would be great.
something?
Would, like you project your
Yeah,
screen?
a projection screen. I mean, I think.
Oh, do we have the ability to project? No, we have a wall.
Oh, we've done.
No,
We've done that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can borrow one from Brookhaven.
I might have one. Let me see if we have one that works.
We have one.
Like projector, we've done stuff like that.
I mean, because I could do that.
That would be very good, yes.
Be helpful.
Donna, with all the additions that we've made, are we looking at a 1 mil increase at this point?
Hopefully a little bit less,
Okay.
but that would probably be the max.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough year.
We're going into a recession.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be cognizant of that and trying to, you know, do as much as we can with the budget that we have and the funds that we have.
Good job, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out, I appreciate all the input. The
If you
reason,
have any questions, please, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah.
Please, email me. I'll be working this weekend.
How did the move go?
It went really well. I was there last Thursday for one I know. But it looks great and it's nice having everybody on
Do I need to do
board.
this?
I guess if anybody did have any questions, by all means, you're
I'm sorry.
free to give us a relatively quick question. We'll get you an email or an answer for as far as that goes.
My simple question is about the increase in debt, just how much money, exactly approximately how much is that going to cost us? Including, well, that would be, we're talking about real estate tax, that would be, we would have to tax on our increase for our trash fee on top of that, is that correct?
Yes.
So what would the real estate roughly, I know it's only employment, but how much money do you think extra that would cost us?
I will-
About 8%?
Definitely have a number for you in November. I'm not trying to make it all, but it's
How about a
just
trash fee? How much do you think that will cost us?
$16
$16
a year.
more. Yeah,
So
$16.
You're looking at a $15 more a year
$15 more dollars increase.
for trash.
For trash.
And that's truly the 6% for the tipping fee.
Okay, I understand that.
The rest is
They gotta
contractual.
get their hand on it, so. Okay, so you can't give me any kind of even a rough estimate how much real estate's going down?
3%, 8%.
I mean, if you're talking 1 mil, but I don't know that we need to raise, I'd like to
It
go
also
over
depends
this
on the
again now that
assessments.
you're crunching the numbers, but if it were 1 mil, that would be approximately 8% it would go up, right? Because we're at what, how many mils now?
Right now, for this year, we're at 7.90.
Then it would be probably 12% if we're gonna raise it a mil, but I don't see that happening.
No, I don't see it being a mill.
I can see it being close to a mill.
0.8, something like that, maybe?
You know what? We'll see.
I know that, man.
But it's just the services. I'm not making light of any of this.
Okay.
This is contracted services. We do have a legitimate issue with being able to provide solid police protection. That is
I understand all
a
that.
$250,000 investment in
I know.
public safety. So could that end up being an 8% increase or something along those lines? It wouldn't be unreasonable to think that.
The other thing, last year, did our salt increase for
It's not. Unfortunately, like some of that general, the general thing that we had set aside, we haven't used it in years, but there was 1 year that we had to bring in secondary contractors. We had like 2 snows, we got 70
Right,
inches
I
of snow.
understand that, yeah.
We had 70 inches of snow in like the second half of November, early into December.
Yeah,
We had to
remember
bring in
that?
secondary contracts, so the streets, we
Right.
just couldn't keep up. And that ended up costing a few $1,000.
I have 2 questions. So one is, with the police department, it's cheaper to have the 4 full-time and get rid of the part-time people. I would think if you had part-time
No.
police.
Well,
The-
if you watched any of our meetings, Mrs. Costigan, you would know that we've had a very significant issue with part-time police, so we can't get part-time police.
Okay.
If we could, we
All
would
right, I'll
use
go on to my second one then.
part-time police.
So my second question is, one thing I've always thought was, the twice a week trash pickup is an awful lot, but I do like the once a week with the recycling, because, every other week wasn't enough. So, couldn't you do twice a week in the summer trash when with the flies and everything else, and like once a week for the regular trash in the winter?
We're under a contract right now. Before we did the last contract, we had our engineer put together a bid specification sheet. One of the sections was once a week, regular trash, twice a week, regular trash, changing it over in the summer for twice a week. And we had so many sections going up and down along with recycling. Once every other week, once a week, once a month. The cost to do it twice a week for regular trash and the difference in that cost to once a week was nominal. And the majority of the residents that contacted most of council liked the twice a week regular trash pickup so that there wasn't a rodent problem.
Can you imagine?
And we're paid.
Can you imagine if we didn't have it twice?
No, I couldn't. My house, I couldn't imagine. It's just me and the dog.
And everybody in the county
The
is
dog.
having issues with police because there's so few available. So it's supply and demand. So anybody that's part-time that wants to work full-time is getting hired.
And then the tickets that they use, because I lived in Parkside my whole life, and I remember, Parkside was notorious. You had to stop or you were getting a ticket, right? You had to stop at the stop signs. But now if they don't have the police, they can't ticket. So if they ticket it, does that go into the borough funds?
Yes. So then your parking fines would, your fines for police would increase. Code enforcement fines would increase.
And
Very nominal.
Mrs. Costigan, it used to be that the kids would get out of school, police academy, and they would take a part-time job because that's all they could get. And so it was really easy to get part-timers, but now as less kids are graduating from the academy, more boroughs are fighting for the same students, for the same graduates, and so you lose part-timers like that, you know? They find something better, they find a full-time job. So basically, the only part-timers that we'll have after this will be ones that have full-time jobs elsewhere and are just picking up a few extra shifts.
And we're already paying up until October, and I haven't seen any invoices for October, over $30,000 for a local municipality to cover our shifts. So we've got to equate that to what we would be paying a full-time officer.
Yeah, that's what that, I was just gonna follow up with that. Because the full, like, cost of everything, you know, like the, not just the salary, the benefits, FICA, I mean, like, everything in there, significantly less than if we, like, continued to contract with Brookhaven.
That's actually that's not a permanent solution.
That's not a solution.
Not as-
I was just- I just-
Yeah, no, that's okay. Brookhaven doesn't want it as a permanent
And
solution
I don't think our
either.
residents do either.
I wasn't sure, did you guys decide we were giving the firehouse more money, or you decided to wait?
Well, we put it in to see.
Technically in the budget.
Tentatively put another 5,000.
Okay.
To see.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you everyone for coming out.